work on. Okay, so the recording is started now. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna upload the application that I've just shared on the cloud. If you have a desktop version, you can just drag it on your desktop and it will open for you. Okay, so let's do that. I'm going to go and add new upload app, and I'm then going to click on browse and just choose that file and upload. That's it. That's simple. Okay. 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 So. Okay. Raza, do you have a cloud version with you? Okay, great. So once you log on to your Qlik, you just need to log in onto your Qlik Cloud. Okay, and once you do that, you will see this kind of a screen, home screen in here, and you just click add new upload app, and from browse just go to the folder or file wherever you have downloaded this particular file, and then click browse. You find this file, and once you find that, click on upload. You will be fine. You will see this particular file in here on your step. I'm seeing multiple files. Some of the other people are here as I'm admin, so I can see anything in here, but you will be only seeing your file. Okay, then the next thing is I'm gonna click on in here. You can just click and open it. I normally open in a new tab, so I'm just going to open that. Okay, so then I'm going to click create new sheet. Going to click in here, and some of you might see this layout. There is this button called advanced options, so I'm just gonna go on to advanced options and we're gonna work on that. Okay, and I'm just going to adjust it a little bit. Okay, so set analysis. So in set analysis, the first thing is that, essentially set analysis is kind of a replacement, not a replacement, but it gives a lot more functionality for conditional statements. And for those who haven't used set analysis, I'm going to start with some basics. I'm assuming that every one of you have worked somehow on Qlik Sense, so I'm not going to in too much details. So let's just start with basics. So I'm just going to go into charts and drag a KPI chart in here. I'm just going to delete this one as I don't need it. Okay, so and I'm going to go in data, add my KPI, and I'm going to go for formula, and I'm going to say sum of sales amount. That is a column in here. Simple. So I have 21 million of sales. Simple. All of you know that how to do that, so it's very simple. Now let's get to some advanced stuff. What if I want to okay, let's just do one more thing before I jump onto that. So let's add a list filter pane in here, and I'm going to add a filter. Let's say call it category. Here we go. Okay, so what if I want to make a KPI, a couple of KPIs, like one showing ladies shoes, one showing men's shoes. So how we can do that? So very simple way, very intuitive way most of us are aware of is that if I say if category is equal to men shoes, let's say, then sum of sales here we go. So I have this men shoes, this category. Reason we can just achieve that by just selecting that. selection from here. But the reason for doing this is that at times you want to have a multiple KPIs showing a particular filter. So let's say I would want to have these two KPIs, one for men's shoes and one for female shoes. So I say men's shoes, and then it's for women's shoes. Oh, sorry, ladies shoes. Okay, there we go. Okay, so I have this. So without selection, I can see these KPIs. So in set analysis, it's a very simple way to do that. Very similar to F, but it gives, to start with, it's just a replacement of very beginners. It's replacement of F, but it has a lot more into that just than F. So I will just copy this particular expression and replace it one by one to showcase that how we can convert an if statement into a set analysis. So the first thing is that syntax. So the syntax is, it starts with a set expression like this curly braces and less than sign, and the condition ends with like this. So it's the first thing, no need for the comma, and this value has to come in also in curly brackets. Oops, sorry, my bad. Here we go. So it starts with a curly bracket and less than sign, then column name, then the value that we want to filter out, then closing the set analysis, and then the simple expression. And now I'm going to delete this one, and let's see what are the results. We had 1.285 million ladies sales using if, and here we go, it's the same. Okay, so this is just a very simple way to replace set analysis with F with set analysis. So I hope you have all the access. So if you can just do that, make this expression using set analysis, sum of sales where category is equal to ladies. So technically, if I have to define that, it will be sum of sales where category is equal to ladies shoes. So if you can write that and make that a KPI, let me know. Raise your hand when you have done that, and then we will move to the next part. And you have 3 minutes to do that. Then we will move to the next part. Thank Harish. if you're stuck, I'm just going to repeat that whole thing again quickly, and then we will move to the next part. So I'm going to click on create new sheet. I come in here, there might be this advanced option not checked, so I'm going to go to advanced option, and that might be you not have this edit checked, so click on edit. I'm just going to delete this chart. I'm just going to add a KPI chart. Okay, and I go into data, add, click FX, sum of sales amount, and now I have to write a where condition. So set analysis starts with this and ends with this, and category, and I'm going just, and then we have to write the values in men, sorry, ladies shoes this time. Here we go. So we have this ladies shoes. Yes, Shivanda, we can do that. I'm gonna come to that later. It's okay, it's perfectly fine syntax. We're gonna go step by step, please. Okay, so the next thing is we can use wild characters here as well. For example, in here, if you see I have men shoes and I have ladies shoes, what if we just want to have shoes? So we want to have all the shoes. So we can write multiple values as well in this set. So that is now much more than if we have to write if, we have to write multiple if statements or equal to statements with R. We cannot just write for if, we cannot just like this. So I can write like ladies shoes and men shoes just like this. I can add a new value in here and it will work for me. So I have now ladies shoes as well as men shoes. Or I can use the wild characters. Wild characters are basically where we don't know the exact character, but we have the sum of the characters and we don't have the sum of the characters. So we can write like asterisk in here. So it will include all the all the shoes, and it doesn't work. The issue is that whenever you use a wild character, use double quotes rather than the single quotes in set analysis. So it's gonna work. Here you go. Okay, so your turn. You can, if you can do that very quickly. So you already have written this expression ladies shoes. So what you just have to do that is remove radius, write asterisk, and change that to double quotes so that it works for you. Sorry. Okay, so the next thing I'm gonna do is we just added multiple. We saw that we can add multiple values of a single field, or we can also add multiple fields, multiple columns as well in condition. So for example, I'm going to add, this is one simple one, like category is equal to all the shoes, but we can also add like country. I have a column called country that is equal to USA. Okay, so now I have, so this condition is going to be read like where all the sales where category has shoes in that, and country is USA. So this is being read as, sorry, this is being read as and, this comma here is being read as and. So the sales which fulfill both of these conditions, where country is equal to USA and category is equal to have shoes at the end, is going to be included in these sales. That's why the sales has dropped considerably, because shoe sales in US is very less. So then I'm going to move to the next thing. So we are going to do the same thing, but this time we're going to use Qlik's expression builder to do that. And that is, if you are new to Qlik, you are just starting using Qlik, that can be very handy for you, as it essentially aids you to build the set analysis and the expressions in a very user friendly way. So let's build the same first. Let's build the simple sales expression first. So I'm going to add a KPI chart again, another KPI chart in here, and I'm going to add my here Qlik FX, and this time I'm going to select sales amount field, and from function I'm going to select sum. Here we go, and then sorry, aggregation. Yeah, I'm going to select this aggregation and click insert. In aggregation I'm going to select sum. So you see it automatically created this particular expression. What if I wanted to have a set analysis in that? So let's just start with that. I have simple sum of sales. So if I want to add set analysis into that, what I can do is, before going into the edit mode, so this is important, all these steps are important. Before going into the set analysis mode can be toggled from here, edit. Now I'm in analysis mode, now I'm in edit mode. So in the analysis mode, I'm going to select these two values from this list box. Then I'm going to go to the edit mode, and then I'm going to go to the expression builder. For now, I'm going to delete this expression, and I have this sales amount sum aggregation function selected, and I'm going to check this set expression box from here, and then I'm going to go to the set expression and use current selection and insert. I have to confirm that, and then before I'm going to click insert in here. So if I do that, if you see exactly the same expression that we have written ourselves, that's in here. You don't need to do anything. You just need to do the selection first. Do the selection, come here, just check this box, make sure that it's on use current selection, and whatever field you want to have, click that, apply. So here we go, 4.3 million sales for shoes. That's it. So now your turn. Please, if you can do that using the expression builder. So the first thing is select. If I just now deselect this, it's there. So first thing is select the values. Regardless, you can select anything. It's okay, as long as you follow these steps. Go to the expression builder. In the expression builder, select the column sales field. In the aggregation function, sum of sales. Check this set analysis and make sure when you come to set analysis expression, you use current selection, and then after that click insert and then apply. So so you will see this value. Okay, let's then go to the next part that we have planned. So the next thing we're gonna do is, once you have created this particular expression, what if you want to change the set analysis using the drop down expression builder? So you can add columns in here to do a selection on, or there is another one. For example, now I want to have the same thing in here that I have done. I have this category, but I want to add country as well. So how can there is no country in here, so I cannot select the country. The shortcut is go to this button, selection tool. It will show you all the fields, and I see the country. If I don't see the country, I can just type in and see that particular field. And from here, I'm going to select USA. I select USA, and now then I click here again to close the selection box, and I go into expression builder, edit mode, and this time I'm going to click in here, this in between the existing condition and the greater than sign, and then I'm going to go in there. I'm not going to change this thing in here. I'm just going to go into set expression and just going to click insert. If you see now, the country USA has been selected, but if you see, it has also added this curly bracket and less than sign, but in set analysis that appears only once. So I'm going to delete that and replace that with a comma, and there is an additional as well here as well. And if you see downside, you will see your expression, there is an error in the expression that will give you an idea that something is wrong. And now I have written the expression correctly, so it says okay in here on the downside at the bottom. So now if I click apply and I remove the selection, so I can see exactly the same thing that I have done up on the upside, on the above expression, above KPI. So this is how you can. So far what we have seen the syntax for the set analysis. Then we have seen how we can replace if condition with set analysis using multiple conditions, using while characters, and then we saw that exactly the same thing that we have to write these expressions manually. If you are a beginner especially, you can use expression builder, and in case of some complicated expressions for advanced users, it can be very handy. So I will come to that part now. I have been using Qlik Sense for very good, fairly a long time, and Qlik has introduced some complex functions that I found it very difficult to use. So now I use that particular this function. I'm gonna show you how I use that, and it was very easy lifesaver. So it's just not for advanced users. It can be very handy and a lifesaver for people like me who are very experienced. So in here I'm going to remove all the set analysis that I've already I haven't done the selection. I'm going to go to the selection menu, and I'm going to go to the year. So if you see in here, this is Qlik is using this auto calendar. It has automatically created that particular calendar. So if I want to use that and set analysis this particular year, it's very difficult. I tried different ways, but it didn't work. But this way work. So let's say I select that I want to limit the sales for 2021. I select that. I go in here and I go to the set analysis, and I say go to the expression. I have positioned my cursor where it should be, set analysis should be inserted. This is a very good important thing. You place your cursor at the right place, because so at the current moment Qlik doesn't identify itself exactly where it can where exactly the cursor should be. So we have to do that manually, and I click insert here. If you see, it's a bit complicated expression. It's not very simple, and some of us might not understand that what exactly it's saying. So I will just leave it for now. And if I say click apply, and if I just do that, you see it's there. If I have written very simply, like, order, detail, blah blah blah, whatever column name in here, and try to write a select expression with that, it will not work. So this is a very handy for the advanced users as well, for advanced functions. Okay, so if you can do that, you can make this expression by selecting that year from the selection box. So, and then complete this expression. That would be great. If you can do that, let me know. Then I'm just giving you a couple of minutes to do the complete that. Then we will move to the next part. Welcome. Sure. Okay, so I'm gonna repeat these steps again. First thing, I'm gonna go to analysis mode. I'm going to selection tool. Went to year. I selected the year, so it's you see it's auto calendar. I haven't created this. Is if you are following Qlik, so Qlik has just recently introduced this auto calendar thing. So to be honest, I will admit that before knowing this thing, I wasn't using Qlik calendar. I was using, whenever I have to do the set analysis, I will create my own calendar rather than using Qlik's calendar, because I know I will get stuck in there. But after knowing this hack, so now auto calendar is fine with me. Okay, so and then I go to the edit mode after doing the selection. Then I'm going to go by KPI in there. I'm going to click on add, and sum of sales amount was already there. If you haven't, you can just write it down. And then I placed my cursor in between this bracket and this thing, and then I went to set expression here on the set builder, and I click on insert, and then I click on apply. Here we go. Okay. Okay, so let me see what was the next steps. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to do go to any very interesting thing, and that's also show the difference between if and set analysis. So if you are following me in this, so this particular the man choose, this expression is written with if, not the set analysis. Okay, so let's see what happens if when I do the selections from the category. So let's say if I select sports clothing. So as soon as I select sport clothing, the man choose goes 0, but other also we have written the conditions for category in here, but does it go to 0. So what happens in set analysis is that, whenever we have a set analysis, it ignores the selection on that particular field. So since I have done a category in there, it ignores any selection, but if does not ignore the selections. So it can be at certain places when you do not want to bypass the selections, or you want to have the impact of that, if might make sense for you. So that is one thing needs to be careful. So it's not that you know, it's good thing or bad thing, but in the most of the cases it makes sense. When you have written a condition on a certain thing, applying a filter on that doesn't make sense. So that is one of the thought behind that, but it's not a universal concept. So at times you might want to do that. So there are two ways to do that. If you want to have the selection applicable also on the things that you have done set analysis, one way is to create this using if, but if is not very efficient in in Qlik. So either rather it takes a lot of memory and power in when calculations. Set analysis is very fast. I have this certain 20,000 rows, so it cannot be shown in here. But if you have millions of rows, you will see a difference when you have written a set analysis versus F. You will see that the performance speed that will also show you. The other way is you can go into the script and create a duplicate field for category and use one field in set analysis and use the other field in selection. So that is another way around if you want to have the impact of the selections on the set analysis expression as well. So just wanted to show that quickly. The idea to show was that whenever you have any expression, any column written in the set analysis, the selections doesn't impact the expression. But yes, the selection, if I do any other selection, like let's say I have used category and country in here, but if I go in here and I select, let's say, a city or a customer, okay, let's say we select a customer, so it is going to impact that for sure. Okay, but the only selection that will be ignored will be the columns that we have used in the set analysis. Okay. The next thing is someone mentioned that in here, so I'm going to do that particular thing that again that has been recently introduced by Qlik. If you have a version on if you're using desktop and you have your version before I think August 2022, it might not work with you. So it's okay, but just look at the expression that how I'm working. If you're on cloud, it is perfectly fine, it's going to work. So this particular set expression, I can write this set analysis outside as well. I can write that instead of here, in between here, I can write it in here and it's going to work the same way. So why this change? And I'm going to build step on step how it's going to actually help you in overall analysis, and how it can when you're building an advanced analysis and you have multiple expressions, a lot of things coming in, it helps you to manage your measures and expressions in a better way. So this was the first thing. So I just made it outside. You do that and let me know if you have a problem. It should be very straightforward. Copy. I have just copied this particular expression and just pasted it in here. KPI. Paste KPI so that the things that we have done stays there. And I just moved this set analysis that I've written outside here. Okay, so the next thing is that this is in general it doesn't make sense to go out or inside. You have to write set analysis, so it doesn't make a difference. So but why we are doing this? So one thing is that we can in Qlik, there is a way we can have master expressions, so master measures. So I'm going to add a master measure for sales. So I'm just going to go in here and write this sum of sales as my master measure, and I'm going to call sales and create it in here. Okay, and then I can replace that, you know, as soon as I start writing sales, so it shows there's a field, there is a measure. So I select that measure and apply that. So if I have to write a complete measure, I have to write that, you know, I have to make a master measure here. So what I can do in here, I can make a master measure sales, and on the runtime I can change those filters for each and everything. So I have just one definition for sales, and on conditional basis I can write, you know, have a KPI for shoe sales for USA for year 2021, for the last year, previous year, blah blah blah, whatever we want to do, we can do that on the runtime. So that is your next task. You have to write, create a master measure called sales, and then convert the expressions from writing sum of sales actual expression here using the master measure, and then using these conditions at the start. Another good thing using that outside is that you do not have necessarily to use one set. You can write multiple sets, like in here. So when you remember that when we were using insert from here using current selection, so it was always giving us like this complete set. So and we were, you know, when we were writing that in there, we were deleting this additional thing and writing a comma. So if we're using it outside, it doesn't make a difference. We can just write it as is, no need for the comma. So if you are using the expression builder to write insert the set expressions, it becomes very convenient for you to write these expressions. So I've just written, you know, category shoes. This is one set expression, and then country is the second set expression. Okay. We are halfway through. Oh, okay. We are a bit late. So if you have any confusion, let me know. Otherwise, I'm just gonna pick a pace in here, and we might be running over 15 minutes. So I hope it's fine. Let me know if you want to jump off. This video will be available on my channel for those who just joined recently. So it will be available there, so you can go there and practice. But the file you need, I will try to share the link of the file that we're using. Okay, so I'm going to pick a pace from here as well, from this point. Okay, so the next thing is now we have created these sales. So I'm going to get one step further and variabilize it, or, you know, make it more dynamic, so that, you know, you will see the actually, you know, how easier it will become for you to manage all these expressions and everything. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to go to the variable box. Variable box is at the downside here, and I'm just going to create a variable called, I call normally conditions, you can call it anywhere. So I start with C underscore USA, and the definition is country is equal to USA. So I'm just like country USA, and then I will say C underscore shoes So the definition is this, and I click create, and I come back here, and instead of writing these conditions here, so I can write the variable c underscore us, and I do this $sign expansion, and also I write c underscore shoes okay. So now I have dynamically written as shoes. So what happens is, in very large complex applications, you have to write these conditions for shoes again and again and again, and down the lane again in complex environments, someone is gonna come and say, oh, shoes, we also include fashion for women in shoes as well. So just imagine that you have written margin for shoes, margin for sales for shoes, margin percentage of shoes, everything for shoes, 7, 8 expressions, and someone comes in and tells you, oh, you have written a wrong condition for shoes, and you have to do that from scratch again. So this saves you. You have just variabilized that, and you just go in the variable and just change your variable and say, okay, now we're going to use shoes, and also we're going to use fashion. Everything starting with fashion will be included in shoes as well. So here we go. Let's save it. So now we have all the fashion. So it's dynamic. So just imagine that, I have just for here, I'm just copying it, and Control Z, Control C, Control V. So I copy it and I change from here to margin, and then I change, don't know, there is some issue. Let's see what the margin is. While margin is giving error. Oh, margin is net sales, not simple sales. Let's make it sales. Okay, so here we go. So just imagine that, everything, you have a margin definition, and you have a condition for shoes, and whatever country you want, and you can change that on the runtime. So that gives a lot of flexibility to your application design, and also it gives a single point. And to be honest, I have worked on a lot of applications. It's become very messy very soon, very quickly, when you not try to do this thing in a metadata way, rather than you are just writing expressions on the runtime for that particular thing. So master expression, then using these variables, and then this particular thing gives a lot more flexibility and a lot of control to manage your analysis. Okay. Then the next thing we're going to cover is using the variables in the set analysis that we have written. So what does that mean is, so I'm going to use this year thing in here. So I'm going to see copy. Okay, so you see we have a hard-coded year or hard-coded value of 2021. Okay, so it's essentially the data I have shared with you is till 2022. So so essentially it's a couple of years back. So it's 2 years back, previous year. So what if, let's say, we want that when we are in 2024, this should dynamically change. Or for example, if I was working in 2022 and just recently we are in 2023. So if I have written this like 2022 like this, I have to change that every time. So what I can do to do that thing dynamically. So in order to do that, I'm going to use a variable. First, I'm going to create a variable. I will call it vYear. And so whenever I start normally set analysis, even by now my methodology is to start with a very simple thing and then build on top of that. So the first thing first, I'm going to just write this expression and assume that nothing is gonna change. It's just a variable replacing a permanent value. So I'm just gonna see vYear here. So variable, whenever we use variable, we use this $sign expansion. And as I do that, you see, if you see at the bottom, you will see, the value that has been evaluated will come in here. And you see no change in value. It means my value worked perfectly. Okay. So the next thing is I'm gonna go in and add in custom objects. I'm gonna go and use input box. Variable input box, and in variable input box, that will be available in custom objects. If you just go in custom objects, just search input box, you will find that. And I'm going to use variable, and I'm going to use variable vYear in the input box. Okay, so now I can give this dynamic functionality. Let's say I say 2022. So sales is gonna change for 2022. If I say 2020, sales is going to change for 2020. So now end user has this flexibility. Whatever year he writes, they can use that. And then the question comes, we can do the same thing with the selection. So why have this? Okay, so let's why have this. Just imagine, there are certain things that you have to ask. You are designing an application where there is not going to be much of a training curve. So you just want to give it to the users. So you can just write a title here. Okay, input a year that you want to see, and that can happen. Or there can be one, again coming back to the point where I was telling, I was just mentioning that it might happen that I want to do it dynamically, that whenever a year change, it always be year -1. So in this case it's 2021, which is not the previous year. So if I want to do it dynamically whenever the year change, so I can go in here and I can change the definition of this variable. So I say year function, and I say today -1. So today's year -1. And if I go to this box, it will evaluate that what year it is. So it's 2022. And now it's dynamically changed. It's showing me for sales for year 2022. Okay, so now I have used today's function. When we enter into the next year, it will automatically change to 2023. So these kind of things where you want to do the selections or the set analysis dynamically, this can be done. And this is just one example. There are a lot more complex example. You want to have a complex value. Value might be very simple, but there is a complex evaluation criteria. What value should come? You can use that complex evaluation criteria in a variable, complete that thing over there, and then use that variable in here. So that in that way you can simplify your expression. Try to make things simplified. Don't do everything in expression. At times, yes, that is unavoidable, but the best way would be, if you ask me, if you use thing in chunks, break it and try to put it in different areas. That is the best thing that you can do to manage your complexity down the lane. Okay. The next thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to go to the new sheet, and there is one thing that we just discussed, that when we add any column in set analysis, its filter does not work. But in Qlik, what happens is by default is associative. When whatever selection you do, it impacts everything. What if you want to remove the impact of a certain thing? Impact means by select association, you say, okay, if I do a selection, it should not impact this particular KPI. For example, let's just take the example, go back and I take example of this. So whenever we do a selection of the year, this number squeezes. There is impact of the year, there is an impact of a country, city, etc. There is an impact of that. So what if I just want to say that whatever selection you do, it should not change. This KPI should not change. And now remember that this KPI is just a copy of this. So we call that set modifiers. So set modifiers comes in this here, and that can work, by the way, if we have the set analysis at the start, it can work for here there as well. So if I just put 1 here, this means ignore any selection. Get the results from the whole data set, ignore any selection. So as soon as I do that, selection, it is going to ignore the selection, not the filters that I have applied. So I go in here and I select city, customer, etc, etc. So if I come in here, you see the number here has changed but not here, because there is no impact of selection. And if I remove all the conditions that I have in here, so I can remove the conditions from in here and I can just write that particular thing, this thing in set analysis, it's gonna work and it's going to use all the sales. So there is not going to be any impact of that. So that you can use, for example, on the top you want to have sales which is filtered, and on the bottom, on the denominator, you want to have a sale which is not filtered. So for example, I write an expression here that sum of sales divided by sum of no impact sales, and it will be essentially percentage of total sales selected or selection as percentage of total sales. So and let's just change number formatting a little bit to make it more that's a lot of selections. Okay, so if I just do this category, fashion women is 39% of the total sales. So whatever selection I do, it will dynamically adjust that, but the bottom figure will not. The other figures, the top figure will dynamically adjust, associate with that. So this is we call set modifiers. And then there is an alternate state thing. I'm not covering that now. I'm going to do a such video on that and share that, because if I start doing that, I think we are already above our, we are just at 11 a.m. mark. So we're finishing our time, so I'm just gonna go one more thing very quickly, and then I'm going to open to your questions, and if you don't have any questions, then I will gonna show you a very cool analysis, an advanced analysis that I did using these functions, set analysis using the product association that I'm going to cover at the end. Okay, so in set analysis, we can make combined sets in a different way. We call them like you can have a union of the sets. So let's take this example. By default, this takes AND functionality. What if you want it OR functionality? For example, you want to say that where category is equal to shoes or country is USA, versus rather than saying AND. So what we can do is Qlik has in set expression we have this function called union. So plus is mean union. So if we do that, so this acts as a OR function, and if I say apply, so now you see from AND, let me go back from AND, which is 5.9k, to what I've just to do is I have to put this plus this. So this is, I do not have to write this thing. So this simply acts as an union function. So union means that or either of these two or and common of them. Whereas AND means by default it's an intersection. Intersection can also be written by steric here. If I see that, oops, I think this is the one. Yeah. Sorry, I think union, and then there is intersection. Let me check that what the intersection was, and then we have subtraction as well, that all the categories of this excluding the USA sales in this category, so we can have this as well. And I think steric is I'm not sure why it's not working, but anyways, if we have just simple comma, it's essentially the steric thing or intersection thing. Okay, so you can have union, you can have a subtraction. So subtraction means that you want to include all the sales from one category, but excluding the sales from USA or from, you know, let's say you have a territory, you have a product, let's say pizzas, you're selling that across the world, but you want to exclude the sales of the pizza in a certain territory from USA because that is someone else is managing that. So you want pizza sales all world except USA. So this way you can have certain KPIs subtracted. And also you, another way could be, you know, at times I have seen people, they're responsible of a product for all over the world, but and they're also responsible for a certain territory as well. So that is kind of a union where you say, okay, this territory plus all the sales everywhere. So you cannot just simply write plus this sales plus this sales, because it might overlap, so it can duplicate the records as well. So it's better to use unions and subtraction in these kind of scenarios where the data records can be overlapping. So it's better to use this, so it will not overlap, it will make those record keep this record distinct. Okay, so this is about union. So it's very simple, you can just try to have those expressions. Now if you have any questions, please you can type in or you can unmute your raise your hand and unmute your mic. Yes, Raza, you have any question? Yes, Harish, you can go, please unmute yourself, please. Yeah, hi. Yeah. 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 Mm. Yeah. 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 So let me explain that in a very simple way. So it's not about numerical, it's more about evaluation. There are two types of variables normally, or whenever in Qlik we talk about in general, I think there are different names. In Qlik it's also called set and let variables, or they're also called evaluation variables versus text simple text variables. So I will give you an example of this V here, and if you see in here, it says that the value is this. Okay, and let's just edit it and remove this equal to sign from here, and now the value will be this. Okay, so if now wherever I pass this variable, it will pass this value, not the 2022. But if I have equal in here, wherever I use that, it's going to pass that value 2022. So if you just see carefully in here, in USA, I needed this value to pass, not, you know, the evaluation of that. So if I just write that, it's going to give me, yeah, null, and it's not going to work because the value it's passing, the variable the passing, it's a null value, it's just a dash, so it's not going to work. So it totally depends on, you know, do I want to pass an expression or I just want to, okay. Yeah, and in some cases what happens is it's just not the numerical value, you might want to evaluate and pass a string value. Okay, so in that case might be, you know, you want to write it like this. Okay, it does okay, oh it's a bit tricky. Okay, let me write something else. Okay, let's say you just want to pass this value USA from here. Okay, and you put equal to sign. So then you write, you know, let's see, it's just say not commas, just USA. Okay, so just imagine that, you know, you just have a complicated expression that, you know, it might be if this person comes in, it shows USA, or if this happens, this happens, this. There are 9-10 expressions evaluation, and it gives one value, but based on different criteria, it gives you a different value. So you have, at the end of the day, it just passes one value and you pass that value to the expression. And it also, you know, it's kind of a, normally the variables are calculated whenever you do a selection, they are calculated at the back end and they are calculated at once. If you are, just imagine that if you are using those variables in different set analysis, different expressions. So if you are using that expression in that on the runtime, it's going to, let's say you are using this variable in 10 places, it's going to use your memory 10 times, use your power 10 times, because it's going to evaluate. If you use that in variable, it's going to calculate at one place and distribute the value on those 10 places. Yeah, it will be quick. So okay, thank you. Okay, so I think we have no more questions, so I'm gonna jump on to an interesting thing. That's also another advanced use case. We haven't covered that particular, but I find it very difficult to make people understand. So at times, so I'm just gonna go with the flow. Okay, so I'm gonna add, just follow me. Don't worry if you don't understand. I'm just gonna add a product here. So it's essentially the product association analysis I have built myself. Maybe someone else has done the same thing, but I did that when doing some R&D work. So I thought I share that with you. So this particular thing is, whenever I select a product, it's going to give me in a certain order what other products are being sold, and what's the, you normally see these recommendation engines which tell you people who bought this also bought this product. So it gives you a probability of recommendation that if you buy this, you're gonna buy this as well. Okay, so I'm going to build something like that, not exactly recommendation engine, I would say, but something that gives you an idea that when I would do that, you will get the idea what exactly I'm talking about. So, okay, I'm going to say product, and as a buyer, I'm going to use orders, count of orders, rather count of distinct, so that there is no duplication, order, ID. Okay, here we go. Okay, simple. I have the order IDs, and I'm going to sort it in the reverse order. Okay, and if I do this selection, it just select one product in here. Now my aim is that if I select anything, it select all the products excluding this product. That is my first aim. So what I'm going to do is, Qlik has a very nice function in set analysis. So I'm going to use this set analysis, and I'm going to use product is equal to exclude product. E is for excluded. So it says that select all the products excluding the selected products. So if I click apply, and it says, there is no, everything is possible, so it's excluded everything. As soon as I select one product, so it exclude this one, and let's say you see halter dress. As soon as I select halter dress, that vanishes, and all the other sales order are there. Okay, so this is interesting. I have all the sales except the product that actually I have selected. Okay, the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say then also select the order IDs, use the order IDs that are associated. Possible basically says associated. It's E stands for excluded, or it actually says not associated, and also P stands for possible, which is not associated. Okay, sorry, which are associated. So here we go. Now I see that halter dress has been sold with the wrap skirts 19 times, enchanted shirts 12 times. So it's kind of a very, we made that product association analysis just on the fly. No self joins, no complicated coding, on the runtime, on the front end, just using simple Qlik set analysis on the fly. So we can still, let's select this shoes. Oops. Yeah, I selected this shoes, so I can see running shoes also sold with the basket shoes with 500, summer shoe shorts. So you can see you can kind of build a recommendation engine on that. There is a high probability if you buy this, you also buy this. So this is a very basic analysis, exclude and P. Excluding, and E stands for excluded, P stands for possible. Essentially, it's if I in Qlik terms, it's essentially associated, not associated. Yes, Shavenda, you can call it a market basket analysis. There are different names, but some people get offended if I say that this is the market basket analysis, because there is much more into the market basket analysis rather than this. Okay, so and this is just a thought process, a way to just give you a thought that how you can use Qlik set analysis. It's a very, very, very powerful tool. Set analysis, it's the crux of if you master set analysis, you are 90% Qlik expert. But it's difficult to master without practice, and without stretching your limits, it's difficult. So practice, and try to do everything with set analysis, at least in practice. So it will give you a lot of ground. Already it will be, you will be covering a lot of grounds if you try to implement that in all of your practice sessions, where you have simple, you can do that simple thing by if. Try to do that in here, where you can do simple things by where. Try to do it that in here. Okay, so the P, what P does is, P basically stands for possible. It's so if I go back to this my expression and try to explain it over here. So E stand, here I said that include, only select where condition. I've written a where condition where products are equal to the products that I have selected. I haven't selected, okay, or they are not associated. and where order ID is equal to only those order IDs which are associated. P stands for possible or associated. Okay, so it means that when I do a selection, it is going to select the orders which are associated with that product but exclude the product itself. So that's P stands for possible, and it means that all the those values which are possible. And this also can be, I have used a lot of places, we would call island tables, where at times it's difficult to Qlik has the circular issue. So it's become very difficult to remove the circular issue, but you also want to have that impact of the selection. So you can do runtime join or runtime association. Okay, so we are going to